Welcome to GoldBoys Live, presented by Pickett Sports Sleeper Picks. We got a packed house. Brad, Josh, Brian, all here. We will talk NFL week. What is it? Week 6 already, man. Where does the season go? MLB. We have our Final Four. Reaction from last night. I guess we'll just start there because we have Brian. He's got his Phillies hat on. We'll let him victory lap here. Just take a bow, take a victory lap. What's the mood in Philly? Are you? I guess I'll ask it this way: are you getting annoyed? Are people in Philly getting annoyed with all this talk of the format and these teams are too rusty? Take it wherever you want to go here with your Phillies. Really dominating the Braves. Played 4 games. Really could have
dominated.
I mean, I talked about yesterday the show. We only had 2 on the show yesterday, but I mean, obviously, like I said, you can't take it away, but. That 7th and 8th inning in Game 2 with the Phillies with the Braves get back into it. Outside of those 2 innings, it really was a one-way series. I mean, like obviously as a fan, it felt like every single game we were 2 seconds away from losing, even up 8. But if you look at it from an objective point of view, it was pretty dominant. I actually bought a Ranger Suarez jersey last night. I'm all in on Ranger Danger. He's been so fun to watch. But I appreciated that the Braves kind of came out and mentioned that the Astros were fine with the format and. Yep. They were trying to not kind of deflect the blame because I get it. I get the format's different. It's weird. 5-game series is a lot more high variance than a 7-game series, but not the victory lap. But at the end of the day, you just got to win the games, and one team did, one team didn't.
Robert said it too for the Dodgers. He's like, hey, 5-game series, 7-game series. Okay, we play a 7-game series. We're down 3-0. We're still not going to win. So anything. And not to belabor this, but I just think they put too many teams in. That wouldn't have prevented this. Like I don't know. The rest is an issue. I thought it was fine when it was 4 in each. Like we have the Diamondbacks in the NLCS. They won 84 games. They were basically a 500 team. So they do put too many teams in. But hey, like if you're not going to hit, if you're not going to pitch, you're not going to win. And I think the surprising thing for me was the Braves didn't hit. I think if you really dissected these teams, the Dodgers were vulnerable with that pitching, and really after Betts and Freeman, that's not a great lineup.
Honestly,
David Peralta's of the world, Atlanta's pitching after Strider, who's also prone to blowups, prone to homers. How many times do we sit here and he's cruising 6th inning, gives up homers, gave up 3 last night. So it's really not shocking that they lost. We said all year they were the best team, but they were super beatable. So surprised they didn't, but not shocked they lost.
Well, no, maybe not. I think the 2 points everyone was talking about yesterday were. Don't tell me that week off doesn't matter, which I think I agree. A week off in baseball matters maybe more than most sports because of the fact that it's rhythm. So timing and rhythm. Maybe golf is the only one where if you got a week off, you'd be fucked more than baseball. But it's the same concept of hitting a tiny fucking ball that's whatever, right? If you don't have that rhythm, I do think that matters. The thing that isn't being brought up though is are we going to talk about the 162 game season then? Because that's the crux of the whole conversation is we're also mad that they are so impressive for such a long period of time and it doesn't translate into winning hardware. And so then make the hardware more about the 162 or
There's
something.
Just no way to do it. What can you really
maybe
do?
Not, but just don't realize that it's 2 separate seasons. I guess I don't know. There's so much complaining going on, but when everyone already had the information going into this that it was going to be the way it was, and it didn't turn out the way they wanted, so now it's complaint city, and I'm not here for that.
And I agree. There is a little too much wanting, but I do get there's this idea hey, we sit here and watch this sport every day for 6 months, and there's very little correlation to the 6-month season and the playoffs. It's I don't know. You play 162 games, you play all these games, and then playoffs. There's just no correlation between what we saw all summer in the playoffs. It becomes a bunch of coin flips. I don't know what the solution is. I mean,
I also want to point out too that format aside, we talk about all the time with baseball. If you're a team that just gets hot at the right time, it's I get it's just one of those things where it's hard to translate 162 games into the playoffs because it's that same thing where if you just find a team like the Diamondbacks or something like that, if you just find that team that catches that fire, it's if they're it's just it just happens. It's hard to take away from it and be like, oh, you guys didn't play well in the regular season, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're here and you caught fire. It's so tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's baseball is one of those sports where it's the streakiest sport outside of NHL, where if you're hot, you're unstoppable. And you can't just turn it on if you're cold.
Yep. And I mean, there's just a basic thing too of in football, there's the average total is 50 points. In basketball, the average total is 230 points. In baseball, the average total is 7 runs. So Think about it. 2 men are on base, and you hit a fly ball to the wall versus it going over the fence. That's 3 runs. That's like half the runs of the game. So there's just so much variance. And Oakland and Kansas City each lost like 105, 110 games. They both had like 2 or 3 different 7-game winning streaks. It's just it's a sport of randomness. I mean, think about Arizona. Arizona had a streak where they lost 23 out of 30. They were 7-23 for a month stretch.
Crazy.
In Texas, I mean, we sat here. I was in Florida end of August. I remember, I think we were texting you. I was texting you guys like, will the Texas Rangers ever win another baseball game? They lost every day forever. And they choked at the end of the season. Now you look, Arizona and Texas are 10-0 combined in the playoffs. I don't know.
The Rays really started off the season, 101 or something like that?
Approximately.
They started the season winning every single game for 2 months. So, yeah. Can you guys believe that there was a game last night in the playoffs where 0 teams had a hit with runners in scoring position? It was 0-6 and 0-5. No one hit with the runner in scoring position.
And I thought that Acuna ball was going to get down with the bases loaded.
Oh my God. I was like,
the center fielder just looked confused. It looked like the ball almost caught him instead of him catching the ball. And that would have cleared the bases. That would have given Atlanta the lead. And then who knows? So, and then first and third, nobody out in the ninth. So Atlanta just, man, they were just, you know what it is too?
Angels in the outfield stuff.
Yep. The other thing too, it's easy to hit, like it's hard to hit when you're tight, and it's easy like when it's August 11th and you're playing the Rockies. Just we're all hitting homers, we're relaxed. It's hard to hit when you need to hit. I think these guys get a little tight. There's probably some.
I'll say this: the one thing I'll say about the Phillies team is I said it in the first inning. Ranger Suarez had a pop up where it went to Bryson Stott and he caught it, and it's weird. This probably makes no sense, but the way he caught the ball, he just looked so unnerved. It looked like they were kind of loose, which is huge because if you can play like if you can play in your mind that it's an August game or something like that, where you don't have to be all tense, it definitely goes a long way.
And we can move on to football. I will say both these favorite prices look a little cheap. Philly minus 170 at DraftKings to win the series. Astros minus 140 to win the series over the Rangers. I kind of think we're headed for a rematch. I think it's going to be Phillies Astros. And again, predicting these series is not easy, so who knows? I would have been wrong if you told me Arizona and Texas could be in the championship series. A few weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have thought that was correct, but. Doesn't mean it's going to end at some point, I would think.
I think the MLB would love a rematch. You talk about, people complain about format, this or that. I'm sure the MLB, money-wise and just overall-wise, they would love a rematch and not have, say, like a Diamondbacks.
Texas would be tough. I mean, it would be.
Yeah, that would be really tough.
You can't think about that in terms of like, oh, they would love this as a league. But in their mind that they want that promotion and they want that revenue.
I don't know that Houston sells. Like Houston, I think people are tired of Houston. They're always in it. They don't really have that like guy you turn the TV on. Harper's a guy that sells. He's got a little personality. He's polarizing.
I don't think there's ever going to be a better signing in ever. Like the Phillies getting priced out.
It shows you spend the money. It helps you go out and buy players. These teams, look, there's no salary cap. So teams like the Yankees that don't do it, like Schwarber, Castellanos, these guys are just bought. You go out and you buy good players. Doesn't always work. Look at the Dodgers, but it certainly helps.
Yeah,
it worked for the Padres. I mean, they have so much talent.
No, but I mean, look, but it worked for the Phillies. They bought out and bought Wheeler and all these guys. Like,
well, I think it goes to show that the right people too. I mean, could you who knows what we're talking about right now? If that big offseason it was between Machado or Harper, if they went Machado, who knows where they even be right now?
Do you guys like anything? Because I don't. There's zero value in the World Series odds. I think at this point, like the Astros are plus 185 to win the World Series on FanDuel. There is the exact result stuff. It's still only like the juiciest play would be actually I have to click show more. It's 11-1. The Diamondbacks over the Rangers would be like the biggest. Yeah,
that's 11-1.
That's the biggest payout for an exact result. Like this stuff seems really juiced down.
Yeah, that's crazy, and I actually get more and more sad when we do these kind of shows where we talk about the hypotheticals and we look at series odds and prices. And you see something like that at 11-1, it just kind of pisses me off in terms of value and whatnot.
Astros and Phillies both to win the series plus 172. I don't think that's a bad bet.
You parlay their series prices?
Yeah. Plus 172. I just over 7 games. I don't know if Arizona has enough pitching. I don't know if Texas has enough pitching, but we'll have time. I don't think those games don't start till Sunday. So we got a couple days with no baseball. Another Friday, really, with no sports. We got some college football tonight, but kind of a dead sports night. Should we get to some NFL? Anything from last night that you guys, that was
did you guys
a whole game?
Can I ask? I just want to ask Brian a question real quick. Would you play Phillies to beat the Diamondbacks series minus 192?
Minus 190.
What'd you say?
170 at DK.
170.
Would you play that?
It's juicy.
It's light.
I think I agree. Will said it earlier. I think it's kind of light, and I mean, you saw it last night too. I mean, this team is just. I mean, they said before they have the players to make it happen. It just there's so many people.
Field too. That's gonna be a tough. That's gonna be a tough place for Arizona.
Yeah, you get what games? You get 5. Yeah, you get so many games at it's 1 and 2 and 6, 7,
6 and 7. I think they still do the 3 in the middle.
It's 3 in the middle. That there's no days off. It's 3 in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think I would lay it. I mean, realistically, I don't have like the numbers on top of my head. I feel like just on feel, if that feels like it should be like 210. Like around that range.
Would you look at a Phillies correct score before we move on here? Phillies in 5 is 5-1. That doesn't seem impossible. Phillies in 6 plus 380. I would I feel like it's Phillies in 5. I know it's a little disrespectful to Arizona, but that you get 5-1. I don't hate that number there.
Yeah. It's better than some of the other prices we've seen in terms of these series odds.
I'm already looking at World Series MVPs.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad look too either. I feel like they're juiced down a little, like you guys said.
Got to be the Castellanos if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, where's Castellanos?
Again, though, these teams are so hot, but they don't. Now you're getting a couple of days off. Like Philly doesn't play till Monday. Like that. Are you still hot on Monday if you're hot on like Thursday? I don't know.
Shorter rest in the Diamondbacks though.
Right.
How much beer is Ranger Suarez putting down?
Sure.
Ranger Suarez is the ultimate vibes guy. He's awesome.
A lot of beer.
Yeah. Yep.
Last night, I can I brag for a second and just say I hit a 9-1 parlay?
No.
Oh, I can't.
No.
Okay. All right, my bad. I put it out, so like hopefully you got it.
Nice.
I thought Kelsey was gonna be more of a decoy. Guess he's fine. Maybe Tate helped him out, gave him some juice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
It wasn't even like he needed to run routes that required any cutting. He literally would just do like these little button hooks in the middle of the field, like. No.
It's crazy too, because Pat Mahomes was staring him down while he slowly jaunted 15 yards and turned around and just threw it to him wide open. Yeah, that Denver defense is terrible.
Yeah, I didn't watch a single.
They held him to what? 16, 19 points?
A lot of turnovers. Yeah, they had 19 points.
I know,
It was a little bit of luck, a little bit of like laziness at times, and then when Patrick Mahomes was like, "Oh wait, I'm sorry, we could potentially. There's only 1-score game. My bad."
Yeah,
I'll take over now.
I was hoping you guys would fill me in on that. I didn't watch a single second of that game, and I was kind of totally okay with it.
You look really smart, Brian, because Pacheco was the lead receiving back early.
Yeah, I bet on Pacheco. Receiving yards, and I got people on Twitter that were really knocking my play, saying it's all McKinnon. I felt pretty good that hit in the first quarter.
McKinnon hit big time, and he ended up having a run taken back, or a reception, but he still had 3 for 20. Rashee Rice, that was my big play with the ladder. I talked about that on the show too. So, I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs are really good. The Broncos aren't. I think we could probably move on.
Did you lose any bets, Josh? You never lose.
Yeah, Josh never.
I didn't lose last night. No, I legit went 5-0 last night.
Can we double back to me talking crazy?
I could
about
show you my last
Rice's drop percentage. I said the way wrong number. It's more like 20%. I said like 38%.
You said 38% yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh! And
I was prepping for our show for nighttime, and I was like, did I really say 38%?
It doesn't seem like Wilson makes it through the season. He actually hasn't been terrible up until last night, but last night, 95 yards, 2 picks. I mean, at some point, maybe they just try Stidham. That's looking like just a total reboot. I don't know if they just tell him to go away, basically just I think there's some language in the contract where if he gets hurt, next season's guaranteed. So they might just say, hey, this isn't working. You can go to the bench or whatever. I feel like it's not all his fault, but I just don't feel like he's long for that season.
Yeah. He's got that Ciara money. He's fine.
Well, yeah, man, I don't. That team is awful too.
No, I don't know what you do with it. I don't know what you do with it. Like there's nothing there. It's got to be a complete reboot. I don't know if you do it in the middle of the season. I don't think it matters really, but they're 1 in 5 now.
Yeah. And there's good quarterbacks in the draft. So all these teams that are bad are probably, I know you don't tank in football, but some of these teams, the light bulb's got to go on like, hey, what's the point of scratching and clawing to get to 4 or 5 wins? Better off winning 2 or 3 games. Again, we think like this. These teams necessarily don't, but I mean, you got to, if you're the front office, you got to say, hey, we're not going anywhere. Let's, we have our pick. If
the Panthers were smart, they literally control their destiny to get Caleb Williams.
They absolutely do not.
They're the only winless team,
and they don't have their pick because they traded.
Yeah.
Get it.
Okay, so but listen. We should talk about this as we're talking NFL.
Not great.
Are you guys on the they got to get off the Bryce train, or are you saying they're passing judgment?
Oh yeah, no, immediately. There's no such thing as pot committed to a quarterback that's never going to be good in that. At least not on this team. He's never.
I mean, you
good.
traded all that for him. You can't. I think you get him a new coach, and then you try. I don't know that it's him. I think that offense stinks. Nobody's open. He doesn't.
He's never going to get there.
I had to. I can't go on Twitter and with my Twitter fingers unless I'm fully backed with an arsenal. So I needed to know if I was going to be right or wrong in my argument. I don't know if it's Bryce Young, but I did look at some numbers. Like he does have some good numbers, like throwing across the middle. EPA across the middle is top 10 in the NFL, which is not saying much.
I don't think he's a lost cause. I agree.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I think his team has like a 30% drop rate.
I'm not like thrilled with what I've seen, but I'm also not like, oh man, he stinks. There's not one elite offensive weapon. Nobody's ever open. Again, he doesn't have a good offensive
38% drop rate, I think, too, for that team.
And you could say, hey, they could have taken Stroud over him, and maybe that's fair. I mean, I think if you did a redo, they probably would, even though we're only 5 games in, but I wouldn't jump ship yet.
I want to talk about Marvin. There's no way Bryce would have made it past the 3rd pick. Bryce was going 1 or 2 regardless. Yeah. If you wanted him, you had to get him at 1 or 2.
I also think
I went back and I looked at like the great quarterbacks who went early, right? Like there's not many who succeeded in year 1. Let's look at the last Hall of Famer. Peyton Manning, he went 3-13 through 28 picks in year 1.
Yep.
I just think that the media is pretty tough. Like CJ Stroud, he's making everyone else look like shit. Like it's not like like CJ Stroud's doing the unthinkable. A quarterback coming in year 1, early draft pick, behind a bad offensive line and balling like he is. Like that's No, he was going to be Marvin. He was going to be a number 1 pick no matter what.
Here's an interesting question. I forget where I heard this. Somebody asked this. I'm trying to think of where it was. So Young was the first pick in the draft. Purdy was the last pick in the draft. If you could start with one guy right now, build a franchise, who would you rather have, Young or Purdy?
Bryce Young or Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
I think they're the same player on
Carolina. I need to know who the coaching staff is a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hypothetical. You got to who's the better player?
Bryce Young. If I put Bryce Young on San Francisco, I want Bryce Young.
Yeah, I mean, if you ran Bryce Young through drills and then you ran Brock Purdy through drills, you'd be like, wow, Bryce Young is way better.
Yeah.
So you would take Young over Purdy?
There's no way. Listen, there's no way I'm taking Purdy over Young if they're the same age, both coming out. Like we can't have them Purdy this year when he has a whole, all this experience. But if they both come out rookie season and they're both going to San Francisco, I'm taking Bryce Young 100%. The things that offense would be able to do with having Bryce under center would be insane.
I think I take Purdy.
Why though? Why would you take Purdy?
What do you mean? Have you watched him play?
It's his pre-snap stuff too.
Yeah, good. Yes, of course. I'm not taking anything away from Brock Purdy whatsoever. Yeah. But it also helps when you have everything in your favor.
Absolutely. And it's complete opposites in terms of like Purdy has every toy under the sun at his disposal and Young has no toys. I do think it's a fair conversation. I don't think it's like I would take Purdy and never think about it, but I do think it's like it's a pretty fair question.
To Brad's point a little bit, I do think it is interesting that quarterbacks now, I mean, you look even back 10 years ago, a lot of times you would even think to start a quarterback year 1. And then now it's like you start week 1 and by week 3, if you're not 3-0 and like looking stellar, people get so like quick to judge when it's such a hard position to really develop into the league. So
but honestly, like what you're saying too, is the reason why so many good quarterbacks, like Hall of Famers and people we talk about are late draft picks that go to good organizations.
Yeah.
We never really know.
I think Purdy's good. I don't think he's great, but I do think he's good. I think it's legit at this point. I think there's this narrative that he just throws nothing but screen passes in like the 4 of us quarterbacks.
No. I'm not on that narrative. He's a good quarterback, but I just think the two have different things, the different things that make them good, if that makes sense.
Can I say something? I don't know how this will be received. I think he's bigger, like slightly better and stronger Chad Pennington.
That's not a terrible conversation.
It's not bad. Yeah, I mean, Chad Pennington wasn't bad. I mean,
Chad Pennington really couldn't even go the ball like 30 yards. So there's a little bit more strength to Brock Purdy. But yeah, it's similar. Like you have to throw it there 3 seconds before the guy's going to be there into open space because you're not zipping it in past like 2 linebackers.
He just makes good decisions. He's accurate. Like he's good. Yeah. I just think he's good.
Totally, he's great.
You could be great. We're not taking anything away from Brock Purdy whatsoever.
No, but I don't think to be like, oh, that's a ridiculous question, or it's obviously young.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's.
Look at how much we're talking about it. It's a great question.
No. I think it's a great question. I'm just saying personally, I would take Young in that system. Yeah.
Yep. All right, picks. Who wants to start? Brian, you start. Best pick
Brian,
for this
start.
week. Side, total, prop, whatever you got.
Honestly, the one I put in the Discord right is I'm buying really low. I took Chris Olave over 54.5 receiving yards. He literally has he's practicing. He looks awful last 2 weeks. He's 16 total yards, but I don't know if you guys read into like air yards. He has 250 air yards the last 2 weeks, and it's translated to 16 yards. I just think this is a game where he can get going. I do think that Carr should be looking a little bit more healthy. I think
that's what I've been wondering. Is like, has Carr looked duty because he's been hurt? Is that really
that shoulder? It has to, because I mean,
Packers till he came out, right?
But he looked good. He looked good. I was about to say some crazy shit. He looked like he still had zip on the ball against the Bucks. They just played like bats.
Yeah, so he's looked up and down.
Everyone said he was checking down like crazy. Like he just kept throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Kamara had 48 catches. Like it was crazy.
48 catches for 32 yards.
Yeah, he almost got to 50 yards.
I watched it and thought they were just getting outplayed. I don't know. Maybe I have to go rewatch. I thought I was expecting him to come out. I played his under, and I was like, before game, I was like expecting him to come out, and then I was like, oh, they're not gonna take him out. He still has zip on the ball in this game.
All right, Brad, what do you got? What's your best pick?
My best pick. Let's see. I'm gonna go with a little 8-point teaser plus money.
8-point teaser.
Yes,
I never heard of that.
Yeah, instead of taking 9 for -1, you can take 8 for plus 105. I'm going Pats up to 11 versus Raiders. I think the Pats are live to win here. I'm going Seahawks plus 11 Bengals, and then I'm going Bills down to -6.5.
A 3-team 8-pointer. Boy, I never heard of that. I had never heard of that. Wow. What book lets you do that?
I did it on offshore. I don't remotely care about teasers on other books that I can't play.
Interesting. All right, Josh, what do you got?
Interesting. I mean, look, if I'm taking a side, you can still get San Francisco under 10. I think it's going to be a route.
Well, guys, I'm seeing 10 DraftKings.
I got 9.5 on FanDuel.
It's 9.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
If you can't do 8, you can still do 7 for plus 130. I play that as well. It's better odds. Yeah.
But my favorite player prop is there's two that I like equally. I'm a parlay. I'm playing them separate. Jamar Chase is getting back in the end zone. It's going to happen against the Seahawks. Even with T. Higgins back, the Seahawks team awful against the pass, giving up wide receiver yards and touchdowns like crazy. And then the James Cook to just run all over the Giants. He needs to get 57 yards for that prop to hit. I mean, God, if you just look at the Giants numbers, it's just 30th, 31st, 32nd, 30th, 31st. That's what they are at defensive everything. So
I'm going to go Cincy -2.5. I've been down on Cincy all year, but I just think Burrow looked healthier. It's what makes sports betting interesting and hard. And just a good thought exercise. Yeah. You don't want to overreact, but you have to react. You can't just ignore what you saw. And to me, look, he looked healthy. The defense hasn't been great. There's still some issues with the team, but I just feel like if Burrow was healthy, this line would be probably the other side of 3. I never really trust Seattle on the road. I don't think that's a great defense. If you look, all right, they beat Detroit. That's a good win. Not taking that away from them. Yeah. But their other games, Carolina, I thought moved the ball on them. The Giants, I think, inflates their stats a little bit.
I'll lay it here. I think the Lions looks really good.
It does.
I want to. I just like. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that game? Because I think it's pretty much a coin flip. So I'm wondering, like, if you feel like it's your best bet, is that you feel more confident in that one, Will, than like any of the other games that you could take?
It's fucking hard to find best bets in the NFL sides, man. These lines.
All of my NFL bets are my best bets.
It's hard to find. That's why I'm betting them, man. It really is. It's hard to find sides. Like these lines are tight. There's so much randomness in it. I mean, it's not easy. It's really not easy.
It feels tough this week especially because the Bills climbed over 15 now on FanDuel. They climbed over 14. They were 13.5. 14.5. They're up to 15.5 on FanDuel.
Good mention. Jones is officially out. Hasn't been practicing, so that's not a shocker. And Watson is officially out. That's strange. What's going on with him? Couldn't play a couple weeks ago. They have a bye. He still can't play. That doesn't.
the best tweet I saw this morning was a picture of Deshaun Watson next to Chick-fil-A, both not open on Sundays.
That was good.
That was great.
Both not
available on Sunday.
Yeah, that was good. And we can circle around, see what else you guys have. I'll go double here. I like Detroit -3. I am not really impressed with Tampa's wins. Saints with Carr was beat up. The Bears, they were up 3 on the Bears with 2 minutes to go. The Bears had the ball, and then they beat Minnesota, where Minnesota just dominated the stats. So I'm still a little skeptical of Tampa. I think they've exceeded expectations, but Detroit's good. Detroit's good on both sides of the ball.
Don't do it, man. It's the creamsicle game. Don't do it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The Bucks have been every practice that the Bucks have had, they've had some kind of reference to the creamsicle. This is either going to be like a freaking massive win for the Bucks, like they win by double digits, or they lose by 50.
Where do we stand on the creamsicles? Do we think it helped? Because like there was a long time where they're like, we're not going to wear them because we were the worst franchise in the history of football when we wore those jerseys.
No, that's not why they didn't wear them.
I remember them like not wanting to wear them as much in like the 90s.
It was the helmet rule.
Got you.
Well, anything else you guys like, Brad, Brian? Anyone jump in?
I like that bet just to ride with you on the Lions.
Right.
I'm just giving you shit. Well, the Lions are going to win and cover.
The thing that makes me the thing that was holding me back from betting them, because I picked them in the pick'em league that I'm in, where I make 5 picks every week, and like I got the Lions at 3. But the reason I was hesitant at first was because I was like, Jared Goff outside, down south, whatever. But he's actually been all right on the road already this season. He's still better at home, but I think he's good. Like he's got the weapons, he's got the offensive line. He can be a game manager for all it matters, you know.
Well, no, I was giving you shit. I do think the Lions win. Do you know how many sacks Aiden Hutchins is going to have against Baker Mayfield, who holds the ball too long?
Yeah, those lines, man.
Mike Evans still probably questionable. Like,
without
Mike Evans.
No, Mike Evans is questionable.
What is
Detroit a bet for you?
Man, it's so tough because
I haven't bet it yet personally, but
I haven't bet it. I want to go to the game. I want to be on the sideline. Like, I don't want to be rooting against the Bucks while I'm there.
You get sideline passes for the Bucks?
I called in a favor. He's seeing if he can come through.
That.
Wow. No way, I could be there. How many tickets?
One. Sorry. College football.
Who do you call for such favors? What kind of you got to tell us? Take us behind the curtain here. What?
Well, for other teams, like college football is way easier. I just apply, media, and then NFL, I just ask people who do different kind of reporting or scouting. Normally say, hey, can you give me?
He's being way too vague. Are you in the mob or something? Like.
No, I don't want to just go say it like that,
yeah.
like over.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I want to ask you about the Vikings, purple and gold, because my initial thought when I saw that line was like, oh, all the Bears have been hearing is that they're back, and obviously Justin Jefferson makes me really hesitant. But I don't know. I mean, I thought that the Vikes were actually a pretty good play. I think it was -2.5. It's -3 now.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I wanted to tease the Bears like so bad. Yeah. I wanted to tease the Bears. If I would have like not done the teaser this way, I would have added the Bears into it as a different leg. Like I don't think they lose by 10 to this Vikings team who loves playing close games. Like, just doesn't.
I agree. 2.5. It was a great teaser leg at 3. You're better off, I guess, just taking the 3 because you're not really going through the key numbers. You're not going through the 3 and the 7.
That's all I'm saying.
43.5 for a total for that game. Like it's supposedly going to be bad weather and no Jefferson. Man, this team. I mean, this game would be.
There's supposed to be a lot of bad weather all over the league this year. Which is, I mean,
do you guys remember when you mocked me last week when I called for Cousins and Jefferson unders and an under in that game with the Chiefs?
It was a lean. It wasn't a pick. It was a lean.
Yeah, it was a lean.
I said it was my Sunday scary pick.
It was a lean.
It's exactly what oh my God. Tony, roll the tape. We're getting the tape on
I remember it was a lean. It wasn't a pick. It was a lean. Also, my goodness, that was you had to hang on for dear life because Madison dropped a touchdown that would have put it over.
Yeah. The refs gave it to me.
In the end zone.
The refs gave it to me.
And KC they're like the smart kid in class that's just going to do as little as possible to get an A. Like they got to 27 points and they're just like, all right, we'll just run it. 4th and 1 from midfield, we'll punt. They play with their food a little bit.
They have done it all season. 100%.
Has anybody played TJ Hawkinson? Like, I feel like that's
probably.
That feels like it should be a smash spot, right? Like,
I'll say this.
Targets,
with Hawkinson, he moved a lot already. He opened like 49.5. I think I'm seeing like 55s already. It sucks how much.
53 is what I said.
53 would take. Yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't take that number, but man, it's always deflating if you see whether it's a prop, line, or whatever it is. It's deflating to see things move like that.
Props for me are like when it moves that much, it's scary.
Let me make sure I give this out too, because I did hit already. Like I said, Jamar Chase anytime touchdown, but I also hit him at 2 touchdowns at plus 650, and I hit him any first touchdown score at plus 250. Or 650, sorry, 650.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's you gotta
Who-
roll.
But say, man, they really are nuking these.
What I was trying to say,
Sorry,
that's
I
a
did-
point,
yeah,
0.2 units on both of those.
Josh, can you repeat that for me? I didn't understand.
Yeah, Jamar Chase anytime I put a full unit on, and then Chase any first touchdown, hit that on DraftKings at plus 650, and then 2 touchdowns also plus 650.
Are you recapping or are you saying?
I just want to make sure I didn't say the 2 touchdown bets for him or the first touchdown score bet. I just said that I was taking him anytime at this
For this week.
Yeah, for this week. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, yeah, I took his receiving over 82 and a half, I believe.
We'll wrap up in a minute here, Brian. Where are you at with Eagles Jets? Eagles laying 7.
I hate that number. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but
No, it was a good teaser leg when San
I have
Fran
a
was sitting
stat.
at 7.5. I'm pissed I missed that.
I have a stat. If it
Go.
Jalen Hurts is throwing the most 20+ yard passes in the league. The Jets are the number 1 defense against passes above 20 yards. Some next gen stat stuff. It really stuck with me that one.
So what's your play here?
I'm not touching it. My buddy we get to lock those 5 picks I was talking about. So he wants to take it at 6.5 where it opened and use that as one of our picks. And I'm just like, I don't like it. I don't like it in New York like that.
Seems like a
So
good
you're
teaser with Philly. I don't
you're
know what
telling
you
me
tease it
that-
with, but
you're telling me that
Get
they
it down to
guard
like
the
a half.
You're telling me they guard the 20+ pass really well. So are you trying to convince me to bet on Dallas Goedert in the intermediate game? Is that what I'm hearing?
That was three levels later from what I was saying. Yes, that's what I meant.
Because
Yeah,
you don't have to
okay.
convince me to ever bet on Dallas Goedert. You just need to say 2 things, and I'll be right there.
Bet Goddard.
Yeah, I think 30.5 is low for him, honestly. I think if there's anyone that's going to have success against the Jets defense that's so good on the outside in, it would be him. You would imagine.
Yeah.
Eagles down to -1, Chargers plus 8.5 against the Cowboys. A little 2-point teaser. Cowboys Chargers has to be
Yeah.
a close game, right? Has to.
I
be.
think
By
so, but I
law.
think you got to take the Chargers as a dog at home, even with under 3,
At 2.5 is just
or add them to a teaser for sure. Because
Yeah, I think
getting them over 8.5 against the Cowboys at home,
I don't
believe
trust
in
them
them
to
more than
win. I don't
Cowboys.
trust them to do anything. I just trust them to play a close game.
yeah,
That's fair.
they've got their defense coming back, right? Derwin James is back. I
And
those-
the-
those-
And they
Both-
always got
both is
guys
bad.
hurt. Yeah.
The good news too, if you tease a Chargers play, they could be up like 38, and you still have +3. It's still a play. Like they're always you're never out of it because they could be up 48 in the first quarter, and then you somehow check in and they're down 3.
They should just start the game down 3 with like 4
Yeah.
minutes left on their own like 14-yard line and just save everybody time because that's every game with them ever.
Oh, I love them. I kind of like
Anything
watching
else?
them, not betting on them.
No, they're fun. Ravens tight, and they're quietly 2-2. Everyone just kind of wrote them off after 0-2. Like that's not they're the ultimate freaking tease because they have enough talent to be like maybe they could make a run, but you trust them, man.
Such a
That's-
tease.
Good luck with that. Ravens -4 in London against the Titans.
I
Seems
heard
like a lot
the
of points for a Vrabel team. Baltimore got there on Monday. The Titans just like flew in like yesterday or tonight. So it's opposite
Today's
approaches
Friday.
here.
It was last night.
Yeah,
Th-
interesting.
Those are literally the 2 pieces of information I want to talk about with this game. Was wait, Vrabel as a 4-point dog, but he's not at home. He's in
Right.
London, and then the second part is the travel, which is what had me on the Jags so much against the Bills. Is
Yeah.
like this one team had way more time adjusted to the time zone. So I
Yep.
still am like, I guess I'm going back to the Ravens, even with 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bet
I
that.
actually would like to ask you guys' opinions because like there's one prop I want to talk to in that game. Am I stupid for thinking that Derrick Henry actually has a really decent game in that game? I do think that when we talk about the Titans, their defense is such a pass funnel that I think. I mean, yeah, like the defense. So if they make the Ravens throw more, I just think they're gonna have a lot of possessions. The Titans, that is. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of volume of plays. And his rushing / receiving prop is 70,
It's just that
76.5.
the Ravens are a top 5 rush defense right now. I mean, they're 6th in rush DEPA, 7th in rush defense
Yeah,
success.
it's
Like-
tough because like we're at the point in the season where you can't. I don't like to discredit stats like that, but at the same time, it's like okay, I think if we lined up on a line, we can stop Najee Harris just for 4-yard gains
He
or
would
whatever.
run into the
So
back of
it's
his
like-
own lineman, so we wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I take it for a little bit of grain of salt because they played him. They played the Jerome Ford Browns, which haven't been able to get it
Yeah,
going on the
that's a
ground
good
since
point.
Nick Chubb. So it's just
Alright.
like you gotta take it a little bit because what is it? Week 2 of Colts, Zach Moss hit him for 140 yards or whatever. So I just feel like
Well,
it's
Zach
at
Moss
this
is the
point in the
best running
season,
back
it's
in the history
hard.
of the NFL now.
Yeah.
Marvin says, "Damn,
I just-
Ravens receivers can't catch rugby ball catching MFers." Yeah, I mean they drop.
Yeah,
like
they drop a lot. I think they have a
Wide open
38% drop
passes.
rate.
I think I'm still, no, I think I'm still going over Zay. I'm still going over Zay Flowers because you can still get him 56.5 or 58.5 now.
Poor Lamar. He for all these years he has receivers who can't get open. Now he's guys that can get open. They just can't catch the ball. I think
They've got so. I know the
Mark
Dolphins
Andrews
are the
has 3.
team. I know that the Dolphins are the team that have like all that killer speed. But man, like you just said, there's so much speed on that Ravens offense. If they could just catch a pass, oh man, they look beautiful.
Yep, such an important part of the game. Rashad Bateman is not getting another pass from Lamar Jackson ever. Mark Andrews is. He's dropped 3 of them. Zay's only got 1 drop. It just was like 50 yards down the field, and he just fell over before the ball got to him. So it's really bad. But I still think Ravens win this game by more than 4. I'm going to bet that.
4 makes me nervous. That just
does.
Those two teams just play nothing but like 23-20 like field goal games. At 4 feels high. I don't know.
All
Are
right.
you going to bet Tennessee?
Yeah.
You said Philly
Probably.
was minus 175 on DraftKings.
Probably.
Minus 175 money line?
No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to see if I'm going to take this Phillies to win the series.
You know what? I'll tell you this, Brad.
His own show. I love
Brad,
I know
I'll-
Brad is always having his own show.
Brad, I'll tell you this right now. I will join you on a Philly parlay. I'll take. I imagine Philly money line for the series and Eagles money line something close to even. So maybe I'll do that, and I'll be a homer.
I don't even know where you take the specials on. I mean the series on DraftKings. Why am I blind?
I mean, you can just go to futures in National League. I think that might be the same thing. They might have a series price somewhere on there.
DraftKings likes to keep their props a secret. They can never be found. They just hide them.
All right, boys. Anything else?
No.
NBA
Week
style,
6.
baby.
Go
Week
Phillies,
6
right? I mean,
already.
that's
Yeah.
Go Phillies.
I mean, we'll be back Monday. They still won't have played a game. I mean, that's a couple days here with no baseball. So,
Damn.
all right, boys. Josh, Brad, Brian, good show. Enjoy the weekend. College football,
Yes, sir.
NFL. Be back Monday, noon Eastern. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Thank you to Pickett Sports, Sleeper Picks. See you guys on Monday.
Peace.